Chu-Che looked at the spiders and turned serious. Meanwhile, everyone in the barrage was jumping excitedly too. Everyone, look at the boss swords. Instantly, tiny lines formed on Chu-Che's sword that started glowing a deep dark reddish-orange color, as well as emitting a light orange color too. Then out of nowhere, flames wholly engulfed the swords while Chu-Che was holding on to them. And when this happened, they seemed to feel the strong and rich qi emitted from the sword through their membership card. The qi was the strongest they had ever felt within the lower realm. Everyone stood up in shock. How could they feel the power miles away? No sword or weapon in the lower realm had ever glowed like that before. Swords themselves didn't catch fire or glow. Instead, they just transferred the fire like a medium. Swords could create rings of blowing fire, or any other glowing techniques, drawing it out. But no matter what, the sword itself didn't glow or move. It was just a medium. In ancient books, only spirit-infused weapons could glow like that. But this was the lower realm, so they had no spirit weapons here. Everyone's eyeballs bulged wide open speechlessly. Some even wiped their eyes to ensure they didn't see it wrong. Nianzu and Songhai stood up excitedly on the spot. Their hands trembled while gripping their membership cards tightly. Their faces were so close to the cards that it looked like they wanted to enter the cards themselves. What did they just see? Were those the legendary spirit weapons? Damn, they can die happily now. As if feeling the massive pressure from the swords, the spiders started contemplating whether to flee or not. But how could Chu-Che let them go? If he wanted to venture into the cave without getting sneak attacked now and then, he had to take them out. In a flash, he rushed forward, leaving behind a deep, cracked surface where his feet were. The spiders all shot planning webs at him while trying to flee, but Chu-Che neatly avoided them. And soon, the spiders jumped high in the air toward him like ninja spiders. Chu-Che also jumped in the air and threw his blades at the closest enemies beside him, planting his blades into them. Rage of Ares! Boom! The flames around his sword increased and left sparks of fire wherever they went. Slash! Slash! Bam! Pa!
Slash!
The swords moved like magic, slashing and spreading fire to the spiders. One slash instantly killed 12 spiders. But Chu-Che wasn't over yet. When there were just 2 more left, he swiftly sent his blades at them, stabbed their bodies, and hauled them over as if he was Scorpio in Mortal Kombat. The spiders shot their flaming webs anxiously, but he dodged them. At this point, the spiders truly found Chu-Che hateful. Human, why won't you just die? Fu. They anxiously shot as many webs as they could, but unfortunately for them, they were up against Chu-Che, who didn't waste any more time and slashed off their limbs with one deadly move that took out a few of them in one go.
Slash! Fee!
The spiders wailed in pain and glared at the human before them. Of course, Chu-Che couldn't be bothered by their emotions and quickly attacked those close to him. He sliced one's head off its body and split another into half with his bare hands in a very gruesome manner. From there, he continued raining terror on these beasts. As for the barrage watching, they had left them in a daze. 0_0. How, when, him, it. What? Everyone blinked and looked at their cards, making sure their eyes weren't deceiving them. These were grade 3 borehole spiders, for heaven's sake. So how could dozens of them die from a single slash? The most jaw-dropping thing was that once the enemy died, they turned into ashes. Could it be that the flames from Chu-Che's swords were that strong? Wipe! What was this fairy operation? Bosu looked at it and screamed in excitement. The moment he saw the techniques, he knew what the boss had done. Many others knew this too. F*******. The boss turned his sword into Kratos' blades of chaos. Ah! The moment he screamed rage of fury, I quickly went to my knees in awe. Damn! My poor heart almost stopped. Lying trough. Can anyone tell me if I'm dreaming or not? Doesn't this mean that we can use the techniques from the other world? I can't stand it anymore. I have to try this out now. Me too. Even if I'm taking a dump, no condition can stop me from getting Ares' power. Damn! I want to beat up the boss for not telling us sooner. But I know that if I try, I'll be the one in pain. Ha 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 ha. Upstairs, glad you know, because no one will save you. For the boss, I can only kneel and worship. The boss is mighty. Why do I feel that Mr. Butt-Lip was lucky earlier on? If the boss had gone all out on him, wouldn't he have turned into dust? I take back what I said earlier. The boss isn't weak at all. Can someone who can do this kind of damage be considered weak? F********. The boss is mighty. 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 Straight face. Chu-Che strategies his head embarrassingly after looking at the comments. He turned around and felt even worse after seeing the level of destruction he did. It was the sort of damage Saitama in one punch, left after training on mountains or beating monsters. There was miles worth of destruction all around him. He pursed his lips and sighed. Was he too overpowered? Sigh. The life of an overpowered person was truly stressful. If those in the barrage heard what he said, they would immediately take back their compliments. Just go and die. What a hateful person. Flaming sword. It was a flaming sword. Graus 0 graus. The barrage went crazy with the flaming swords. Likewise, Chu-Che looked at the swords in his hands and felt even more pleased. Many online had already guessed the truth of the matter. Like in the game, Kratos had a link or connection with his swords. This connection was similar to the spiritual connection one might have with spirit/soul weapons that needed only the mind or soul to control. The more one played, the more chi they absorbed from the games. But the chi there was slightly different and stronger, giving them the ability to harness spirit weapons without necessarily ascending to the next domain. That is, if they were up to the task. As park owner, Chu-Che had played almost every night, even though he had already completed the game. Playing numerous times gave one more insight into the game techniques, as well as a better handle at harnessing the game's chi in this world. And each time he played, it seemed like a different experience because of the game characters and changes that had minds of their own. Nonetheless, harnessing the power of the chaos flames of Ares in the game wasn't an easy feat. After all, Ares was a god, so it wasn't going to be easy. With the enemies down, it was finally time to complete his mission. Chu-Che ran through the cave with Wei Wei on his chest, who, by the way, was still looking at him in awe. Wei Wei was convinced. Its master was strong. Luckily, it was smart enough to make a contract with Chu-Che. It raised its chest proudly at its achievement. Obviously, it had good vision. Chu-Che, who had gained more loyalty points, casually ran into the cave calmly. Looking at the map, even though he saw several blue dots around, those blue dots didn't move at all. In short, they seemed to be running away from him instead. After the epic battle, the spiders who stayed in the caves dared not come close to him. They weren't that many to begin with after he took care of the rest outside, so it would be suicide on their part to get close to him. Unlike Grade 1 and 2 beasts with very low intelligence and only survive by instinct, one could think of Grade 3 beasts as the transitional state where the creature's intelligence enhances. So Grade 3 beasts have somewhat higher intelligence than the latter. At this stage, their attacks become calculated, and they can defend or protect themselves using magical treasures. Like humans, all beasts also want to level up, but the lower grade ones, 1 and 2, only have the primary instinct to level up their battle, and so on. Only the grade 3 and above are smart enough to start collecting treasures, rate plants, etc. That said, compared with grades 4 and 5 beasts, grade 3 beasts were dumb. In short, the higher they leveled up, the smarter some were. Legend has it that there were some beasts who, while accompanying their immortal masters, transformed into humans. This was especially true for dragons. And even though no one in the lower realm had ever seen one, the ancient books wouldn't lie, right? Chu-Che dashed through the cave speedily. And when these spiders heard Chu-Che's movements, they were smart enough to keep away from him. Of course, some still tried sneaking up on him, but died painfully. Chu-Che ran through several interconnected tunnels, passing piles and piles of bones along the way until he reached a massive pool in open space within the cave. The pool's water glowed in a yellowish tint. Chu-Che saw this, and his eyes lit up. Wasn't he looking for the yellow fingot plant that resembled a crystal? It was probably what caused the water to have that color. The spiders probably drink the water, gaining strength as well. Anyway, apart from the weirdly glowing yellow water, something else caught Chu-Che's attention. The entire pool of water kept swirling around non-stop, all the while avoiding the center of the pool. How exactly did the plant cause the water to change when it wasn't even touching it? The answer was simple, through its roots. And one shouldn't forget how the plant made an entire pool swirl around the center. It was indeed a powerful rare plant. No wonder it only grew once every 10 years. Chu-Che nodded after thinking things through, and again took out his blade. Instantly, several flakes of ice appeared on the blade. And in a twinkle of an eye, the tiny flakes then grew into massive ice blocks that made everyone in the barrage go crazy. Boss Chu, what power is this now? Why did it feel and look so terrifying? Yet again, they could feel the heavy chi through their membership cards. But what shocked them was that apart from the blocks of ice on the sword, several chains of ice had now been formed connecting the sword to Chu-Che's hands. What was this operation? Chu-Che walked to the pond's edge while answering everyone's questions. After his battle, he unmuted the audio for the comments. From time to time, he would either mute or unmute, depending on the situation. So after listening to their questions, he didn't see any issues answering them. Many of you are wondering what this new skill is, and if it's in God of War. And the answer is yes. It's a skill that can be acquired through God of War. Once you all complete the entire game, throughout your play, you will acquire 4 core magic elements that do different things. There are 4 elements are Fire of Ares, Lightning of Zeus, the Soul of Hades, and the Ice of Poseidon. Each element has over 20 skills that one can master. What? The barrage was shocked silly. There were so many. What? There were so many powers in God of War. 0 increment 0. The barrage was dumbfounded and left in a daze. Many stood up abruptly and ran around excited for a bit, with their eyes still focused on their cards. Their bodies trembled with excitement as they listened to Chu-Che. Ha 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 ha. Didn't this mean that they might be able to use lightning? If they could take skills from the God of War realm, they should be able to do the same from Mortal Kombat 2, right? The barrage was boiling even more. Everyone, I just thought of something. Boss Chu said that in God of War, the lightning of Zeus is one of the 4 magical elements with numerous skill sets. So if we learn this lightning of Zeus and maybe combine it with Senior Raiden's distinct skills, then wouldn't we be invincible? I thought of that too. Yesterday, I saw Boss Chu fight Senior Sub-Zero, who had ice abilities. But from what Boss Chu is saying now, one of the other elements in God of War is the Ice of Poseidon. So we can also combine these skills to become invincible. Yeah, but even though they are similar, the skills from Sub-Zero's are different from what the Ice of Poseidon gives. Upstairs is right. With the Ice of Poseidon, Boss Chu said that there are 3 different skills, which are the same as trying to read 30 different cultivation manuals. Visit novilbin.c/m for the L-test updates. He's right. I heard that those in major sects could at most understand 2 skills from the same element. So one might only be able to master the Ice Strike or Ice Fists. But mastering all was paramount to being godly. And all this was just for the Ice of Poseidon. Then what more of Sub-Zero's skills? Bottom line, we can't be too greedy. But Boss Chu said that we would be able to learn more, depending on how long we spend in those realms. So I think we should be able to learn more. Lying trough. Even with such difficulty, how can Boss Chu master everything? What sort of genius is he? Nianzu and Songai's hands trembled in disbelief. From the card, they could feel how strong the attack was. What? There were so many powers in God of War. 0 increment 0. The barrage was dumbfounded and left in a daze. Many stood up abruptly and ran around excited for a bit, with their eyes still focused on their cards. Their bodies trembled with excitement as they listened to Chu-Che. Ha 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 ha. Didn't this mean that they might be able to use lightning? If they could take skills from the God of War realm, they should be able to do the same from Mortal Kombat 2, right? The barrage was boiling even more. Everyone, I just thought of something. Boss Chu said that in God of War, the lightning of Zeus is one of the 4 magical elements with numerous skill sets. So if we learn this lightning of Zeus and maybe combine it with Senior Raiden's distinct skills, then wouldn't we be invincible? I thought of that too. Yesterday, I saw Boss Chu fight Senior Sub-Zero, who had ice abilities. But from what Boss Chu is saying now, one of the other elements in God of War is the ice of Poseidon. So we can also combine these skills to become invincible. Yeah, but even though they are similar, the skills from Sub-Zero's are different from what the ice of Poseidon gives. Upstairs is right. With the ice of Poseidon, Boss Chu said that there are 3 different skills, which are the same as trying to read 30 different cultivation manuals. Visit novilbin.c/m for the L-test updates. F*******. He's right. I heard that those in major sects could at most understand 2 skills from the same element. So one might only be able to master the Ice Strike or Ice Fists. But mastering all was paramount to being godly. And all this was just for the ice of Poseidon. Then what more of Sub-Zero's skills? Bottom line, we can't be too greedy.
Hem.
But Boss Chu said that we would be able to learn more, depending on how long we spend in those realms. So I think we should be able to learn more. Lying trough. Even with such difficulty, how can Boss Chu master everything? What sort of genius is he? Nianzu and Songgai's hands trembled in disbelief. From the card, they could feel how strong the attack was. They didn't know how it worked, but from so far away, they could feel the powerful chi emitting from the moves. Seeing the damage it caused made them open their eyes wide without blinking. If their sect had such skills, they would undoubtedly become the greatest in the lower realm. Skills or techniques were ranked low to high as low grade, mid grade, and high grade. Well, these were all they in the lower realm knew. In their domain, one could only find a ton of low-grade techniques, as well as a few mid-grade ones. Here, the mid-grade ones were looked at like treasures. Again, from a few sect elders who ascended and came back for a final last time when the rift opened, they brought in a little more information, which confirmed that the ordinary domain had high-grade techniques. Those who came typically visited for just a day or a few hours. Who would want to come back to the lower realm? Now that they've ascended, cultivation was harder, and if they didn't spend as much time as possible breaking through, they would for sure grow old and die. Plus, those who ascended had to start all over, joining sects and not having many vacations. They were now the highest ever. So where did they have the time? That said, those in the lower realm only thought that cultivation skills were ranked from low grade to high grade. But that was far from the truth. The upper realm had holy grade techniques, and the domains above had supreme, immortal, celestial, and a few other grades. For Nianzu and Songai, with their limited knowledge, they felt that these skills were high-grade ones found in the ordinary realm. If they were to know the true value of these skills, they would definitely faint in awe. At this moment, they stared closely at their cards and dared not blink. Damn, their little hearts couldn't take all this, all right? Chu Che, who was unaware of their emotions, still went on explaining all he knew. Earlier on, I invoked the fire of Ares and used several skills to kill the borehole spiders. And now, I've invoked the ice of Poseidon as for why. That's simple. Apart from being able to freeze enemies, it also allows me to breathe underwater. Silence. Once again, everyone looked at Chu Che as if he were speaking another language. Did they just hear him say that he was able to breathe underwater? They felt dizzy with shock, smiling bitterly. Why did it seem like Boss Chu was trying to give them a heart attack? This was too magical. Bo Su's eyes shone passionately while thinking about such a skill. It would definitely save his life one day. Even little Lulu wanted such a skill. This way, she would be able to swim with all her fish in her pond too, right? Everyone's ears perked up while Chu Che continued his lecture. And as he spoke, he switched the feed to show his map instead, and everyone looked with interest. So this was what the map looked like while going on missions. They had to say it was completely different from the park map. The mission map was different from the paper map they received. The paper map was all visible, which showed disappearing doorsteps that seemed to come alive. But the map highlighted on the interface during missions looked exactly like the maps gamers used. Like Chu Che had explained earlier on, the entire map given to everyone was pitch black. Only when passing through a region would everything about that place show. The most exciting thing is that while out on missions, they would get to see an invisible blue interface pop up before their very eyes. Even reading comments could be done like this, which instantly reminded them of the realms in Gaming Hall. Everyone had listened about this earlier on. but seeing it now still shook them. Yup, the maps given for missions were completely different. Chu Che patted Wei Wei's head gently while observing the strange pool before him. Some of you are also wondering why I'm standing at the edge of the pool and not going in. That's because looking at the map, we can see several long blue dots swimming towards me. Blue dots? Many listened attentively, and Chu Che continued. With the waters tinted yellow, it's hard to see what's lurking in the swirling waters. But with the map, this shouldn't be a problem for mission takers. That said, it seems that these water beasts want to sneak up on me. So why not let them? The scene switched back, and the camera focused on the water, making everyone tense. They didn't know why, but watching the steady swirling ripples made their hearts beat loudly. They were really on the edge of their seats from watching the action, so much so that some even forgot breathing for a bit. Silence. Everyone watched in silence as they waited and waited for whatever was down there. The most frightening thing was that while waiting, Chu Che had selected a creepy song added to make the scene look like a horror movie. The tension was high. Some girls placed their hands over their eyes fearfully, but still spaced out their fingers in order to continue watching the blockbuster scene before them. Boss, just back away. F********. Now I'm so scared that I might never go to a lake again. Who knows what sort of beast would be lying there, waiting to swallow me whole. Hell, at this rate, Boss Chu will get eaten by whatever is down there. Boss, can you please step away from the edge of the pool? Damn, I feel like I'm the one standing there instead. What is this? For the first time, people seem to have watched a live scene from a horror movie. And just like how typical audiences do, many began telling Boss Chu not to go towards the danger. Everyone felt overly anxious as a wave of despair filled their hearts. They swallowed their saliva and stared intensely at their cards. They had to admit that even though they were terrified for Boss Chu, a part of them was still excited as ever. What sort of creatures were in there? They didn't wait long because soon the wait was over. Shah! What? Everyone had a big jump scare when they saw four gigantic grade 3 beasts burst out the water with their enormous mouths wide open. F*******. Bosu and those from the profound sect exclaimed in shock while watching. Lycor beast. Lycor beast. It was actually a Lycor beast. These beasts were essentially long serpents. And at grade 3, they evolved and had 2 hands and 3 extra sets of eyes around their heads. Also, the end of their tail was hardened, making it as sharp as a sword's. They were definitely not something just anyone could deal with. With Bosu's level, he could barely fight grade 2 beasts. If he did, he would need more help to take out a single one. At his strength, he could only comfortably deal with upper peak grade 1 beasts. And even though Chu Che had previously fought all those grade 3 spider beasts, when it came to Lycor beasts that reached grade 3, that was an entirely different matter. At grade 3, Lycor beasts had incredible strength that was very much close to grade 4 beasts. With that sort of strength, they mainly were handled by those in the second Dao, the spirit realm. Of course, people with old Fru's strength can still handle them, but not alone. One needed 3 or more of them to take down a single Lycor. But yet, 4 Lycors had jumped out to attack Chu Che. How would he be able to handle it? They remembered his previous battle with the spiders, where he turned dozens of them with one slash, and fell deep in thought again. Could it be that he could take all 4 on? In just this split second, countless thoughts ran through everyone's mind. No matter how they reacted, Chu Che's expression was the same. Gra! The beasts let out their battle cry as they opened their mouths wide at him, moving at an incredible speed. But Chu Che was faster. He immediately slammed both blades together, creating several deadly ice shards. Broken destiny. Bam! The shards went straight into their mouths, sticking the inner parts there. Ewa. They screamed in agony and rage, but didn't die yet. Immovable blast. Chu Che sent his blades forth, stabbing both sides of one of the Lycor's necks before jumping on its head. He had ice chains that connected his blade to his hands, just like Kratos in God of War. So with his blades on both sides of the beast's neck and him on its head, it looked like he was riding the beast like a horse. The beast obviously didn't appreciate or want anyone riding on it, as all 8 eyes rolled upward, looking at him angrily. Greya. It shook its long neck, twisting around, all the while moving its head to a close enough angle that would allow it to use its hands and squash Chu-Che like a bug. At the same time, the other beasts also kept snapping their mouths close to Chu-Che too. The scene was chaotic. Several heads were snapping at him, as if he were Hercules in the Disney movie. But he was prepared and didn't dare slice off their heads. No, he had the ice of Poseidon. So cool. The camera did a great job following all the overly heads coming at him from all angles. At some point, they even used their sharp tails too. Just watching gave everyone anxiety. Damn, I'm a person who never gets scared. But just watching this almost sent me to an early grave. Upstairs, I thought I was the only one. I originally wanted to go to the toilet, but now I'm shaking like a leaf on my chair. I'm not ashamed that I don't even have the strength to stand up again. While watching this, someone knocked on my door, and I almost jumped out the window. Hell, what sort of setup is this? More still, why is Boss Chu calmly explaining the weaknesses of the beast when he should be worrying about himself instead? Only Boss Chu can lecture in a time like this. If I were the one, I would have already been beast food. Boss Chu is strong. Chu-Che, who had muted their comments to explain the weaknesses, didn't know that he had been labeled as a strange entity. The Lycor beast has several weaknesses, but the most obvious one is the middle section of its throat. Notice that every other part around it is hardened with scales, except that spot, which is its softest outer skin. You can't miss it. It's pinkish and easy to identify. Some in the online barrage seriously took notes, as they too planned to go on group missions. What if they met with such a beast? Of course, they could teleport back in a flash, saving their lives, but they would like to try fighting first. And so they took note of everything Chu-Che said. While talking, he had been taking out the other 3 Lycors, leaving just one behind. Everyone, even though that's its main weak point, achieving a solid hit is the most challenging task if one isn't skilled or prepared enough. The beast has 3 additional sets of eyes after becoming a grade 3 beast, giving it a total of 8 eyes around its head. So the only way to defeat it is to outsmart it by creating a diversion. With that, Chu-Che quickly sent over 20 deadly shards of ice from his blades in different directions. And as planned, the beast briefly took its eyes off Chu-Che and used all 8 eyes to calculate the trajectory where the shares would land before turning his attention back to Chu-Che. And within that split second, Chu-Che made his move. Immovable blast. Like lightning, Chu-Che's blade flew straight for the pink spot on the beast's throat. And by the time the Lycor realized that it had been fooled, it was already too late.
PFFF.
Blood sprayed out gruesomely. Gruawea. The Lycor screamed in agony, but that was not all Chu-Che planned for it. The moment the sword stabbed its throat, Chu-Che summoned a storm of ice that froze it to solid ice in a blink of an eye. Whoosh! The massive block of ice carrying the beast floated on the pool, moving in the direction of the swirl. Chu-Che delivered a heavy blow, scattering the block into tiny pieces. Swish, 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 swish. The last Lycor was dead. The massive ice blocks fell into the water, causing monstrous waves to shoot out of the pool onto the surrounding surfaces. The last Lycor was dead. As if on cue, the card drone's camera then showed off Chu-Che's heroic pose, making many girls inwardly scream. Let me go. How can our boss be so handsome? Just look at his face carefully. A bit of sweat has formed on his face, yet he still looks so handsome. Tell me, who else can have this beautification skill? Upstairs, are you trying to insult the boss? That's obviously water from the yellow pool on his. The boss doesn't sweat. Heavens! Did you see the boss's sword moves? Didn't it look like he was dancing gracefully instead? The boss's dance was so handsome that he could make the dead come back to life. My elder sister asked me what I'm watching, but after showing her the boss's face, she drove me to the kitchen to cook while she rushed to the registration hall. The key thing is that today is her day to cook, and she abandoned it all after seeing the boss's face. Ha 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 ha. Upstairs, you deserve it. Don't you know how powerful the boss's face is? Handsome, handsome, handsome. Big smiley face. The women were busy complimenting Chu Che's face and sword moves, while the men scratched their heads in embarrassment. F*******. I had eyes, but I couldn't see. Boss, is that you? Damn. Did you see his moves right now? If not for the fact that I had to go back and replay it in slow motion, I wouldn't have seen anything at all. Just how strong is the boss? Everyone should remember that before killing the last Lycor, Boss Chu fought and killed the others while giving us a lecture. So how strong is he? Upstairs, you're also forgetting that all this time, the boss's face has stayed the same, as if he wasn't even putting these Lycors in his eyes. For this, I can only swear that I will never go against the boss in my life. Isn't this akin to suicide? Boss atmosphere. The boss is omnipotent. Too strong. 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 While the barrage went crazy, Chu Che focused more on the yellow fingot herb. As for worrying if any other creatures were in the water, the map didn't show any blue dots. So he was good to go. Many might get confused about how the spiders and the water servant could coexist, but the answer was far more straightforward than one could imagine. Even though the Lycors had two could also crawl and walk on land, they very much preferred to be in the water because their bodies dried way faster out of water. The only difference between them and other sea creatures was that their drying time took longer. They were water-based creatures that were fortunate enough to be able to walk the land for specific amounts of time. That said, if there were no other creatures in the pool, it meant that they had to be getting their food from somewhere else. And from the looks of it, it wasn't the spiders that they regularly feasted on. So the only analysis was that there was a hole/underwater tunnel below the pool that connected this water to a larger water source. Chu Che had to be careful in case another one swims up. Standing on one of his swords while swirling around, following the current of water, Chu Che used his other sword to freeze up the part of the water around the empty vortex in the middle of the pool. With that, he jumped into the empty space and carefully harvested the yellow crystalline herb. The entire plant looked like a jewel, making the barrage shocked. How could such a thing exist? They had never seen such a plant before. Even those from the profound sect hadn't seen it before. Well, everyone, apart from Gaol, Nianzu, and Songhai. They almost dropped their cards when they saw this. Bo Su and the rest looked at them in confusion. Master, do you know what it is? No? Of course I know. That's the rare yellow fingot herb that blooms once every 10 years. When turned into an elixir, it can save a cultivator 100 years of cultivation, promoting them to the next rank or higher. True? Everyone's body trembled as they looked at the yellowish crystal herb in shock. One should know that the higher one went, the more difficult cultivation was. And with how desolate and cheat-efficient the lower realm was, things were difficult for many. Take, for example, old Fru. At around 280 and something years old, he had just broken through to the 11th Dan. At the start of one's cultivation journey, the first Dan could be broken in just a single year, and the second Dan could be broken in 4 years or more, depending on one's inborn talent. And the higher one went, the more time it took to break through. Some had already spent over 40 years just to break through from one Dan to the next as they climbed higher. So imagine a herb that could take off 100 years of cultivation, promoting one higher per their innate talent. Several people would kill for such a thing. Yet, here Boss Chu was, picking it up as if it were nothing, without a care in the world. Even the carefree attitude he used to carry the herb would have made many alchemists in the profound sect smack the sh*** out of him. Boy, do you have any idea what you're holding? Gaol, who had known of their mission, nodded in agreement to what his master said. He had once gone on a mission a decade back, which was about retrieving the plant. But just like them, many sects had already received the news and rushed over. In the end, the Holy Fountain sect got the spoils of war and massacred several disciples from the profound sect. Gaol didn't know whether to applaud Chu Che for his bravery or stupidity. Didn't he know that once word went out, several people would come for the yellow fingot? Wasn't he afraid that the town and the gaming hall would be destroyed? Wasn't he scared at all? If all sects came to him all at once, Gaol didn't believe that Chu Che would be able to come out alive. And this was what scared him. He had just discovered the gaming hall, so how could he allow it to get destroyed? Gal was now very perplexed on whether he should tell his master about the discovery of the yellow fingot or not. What should he do? Sigh. In truth, since the matter was already on live stream, many people would definitely talk about it after this. And soon, uninvited trouble would come knocking on Che-Che's doors. In other words, Boss Chu was already exposed, so there was no need to hide it from the sect. Instead, he hoped his master and Elder Tsongai could bring the sect to Chu-Che's side. No matter what, he couldn't lose the gaming hall. And Boss Chu. Just like that, Chu-Che had gathered another fake fan. Hoof hoof. Wei Wei barked in excitement, as if trying to express his amazement. If he were human, it would definitely start acting like those on the online barrage. Wei Wei felt like his master could achieve anything. It had a sense of pride as his chest swelled up, still nestled within Chu-Che's shirt. Its owner was awesome. Chu-Che rubbed his head in amusement. The little guy was more spiritual than he thought. All right, Wei Wei. Stay still, so we can get this out and go. We still have one more mission to go to.
Hoof.
Wei Wei nodded in understanding while looking around vigilantly, just in case something tried to come at its owner. Meanwhile, Chu-Che removed the herb from its roots. And the moment he did so, the water stopped swirling and rushed crushed towards the center to close up the space. Rumble, rumble, rumble. Bam! The water attacked the ice shield wall he created all around the space earlier. As he expected, the ice he created was strong, but it shouldn't be long before it broke down and crumbled. Even at this moment, he could see the water thinning the layer of ice. It was like dropping cubes of ice in a bucket of water. No matter how cold the ice is, it'll melt. Chu-Che looked around and realized that the yellowish water had started turning blue. The herb was really miraculous. No wonder it was an A-class mission. With that, Chu-Che got out of the hole, left the cave, and walked out amidst the earlier destruction that he caused outside when fighting some of the borehole spiders earlier on. But not long after he stepped out of the cave, he met a very familiar face again. Mr. But Lip. Zihao almost fainted when he heard what Chu-Che called him. Meanwhile, the barrage was going crazy at the notion of seeing him again. Ayu, Mr. But Lip, is that you? Ha 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 ha. What happened to him? He looks like a beggar. Poor Mr. But Lip. We can only blame the boss for leaving him behind. Do you think he succeeded in taking his tooth back after the boss left it behind for him? PFFF. I just remembered that he's missing one front tooth. Bahahaha. I'm dead. I'm really dead. Poor Mr. But Lip. Ha 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 ha. Seeing Chu-Che, Zihao's nostrils flared up. The ridges on his neck became dangerously pronounced as his intense gaze dripped with spite. Honestly, he didn't know how Chu-Che did it. But at this moment, his most hated person wasn't a cultivator. No, it was a mortal. And that mortal happened to be Chu-Che. Just seeing him made him puke blood in rage. His entire bring seemed to have triggered some deep enmity from within that would never extinguish unless the scoundrel was dead. What made him even more ticked off was the name that the bastard called him just now. Who the hell was Mr. But Lip? Was he mocking him for kissing a bull's but before? As a core disciple and someone from a very prominent clan, when had he ever been moved and disrespected like so? Even when the elders in his sect wanted to correct him, they dared not say anything too harsh. But yet, here this mortal was, taunting him with that name. F*******. The mortal had to die. Fortunately, because of his rage, he decided to search for the bastard after getting chased by those beasts for a full hour. The pain and humiliation that he went through were ones that he would never forget in his life. Chu-Che looked at the disheveled Zihao and waved. They were on good terms now, right? After all, he warned But Lip about the incoming beasts and gave him back his tooth. Or could it be that But Lip here was angry about that? Yes, it seemed to be the case. Chu-Che sighed, looking at Zihao, who was slowly advancing from a distance. He was probably depressed about forgetting to collect his youth from earlier on. Poor guy. Chu-Che looked at him in pity, which left Zihao angrier than he was. He was so angry that he started speeding up to close the wide gap between them. Mortal waste. You're going to pay for the humiliation you caused me. Chu-Che looked at Zihao helplessly. Why are you still angry with me about the tooth thing? Haven't you been listening to my explanation all along? As a grown man, how can you be so childish over a tooth? You shut up. Zihao felt like he was going crazy. If he allowed this fellow to continue talking, he would probably have a heart attack and die before killing the bastard. How could someone be so hateful? Zihao had closed up the gap considerably as he ran down the nearby hill to meet Chu Che. But when he was just about to reach his target, something happened. Yet again. Rumble, 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 rumble. Boom. The floor tore open, revealing a gigantic borehole spider the size of a 2-story house. It tore the ground open and appeared in the space between the two, dividing Zihao and Chu Che from each other. Everyone in the barrage opened their mouths in shock. The queen. The giant spider on the screen was definitely the queen spider. It looked like she was angry that Chu Che had killed her babies, as well as stole the yellow fingot herb that turned the pool into an elixir, all on its own. But why did it only appear now? Could it be that it was away, or had just come out of closed cultivation? Even beasts cultivate silently without any disturbances, just like humans. Boom! The giant spider burst out of the ground, revealing its murderous aura to all. But there was a big problem here. Where was the human it targeted? The queen was stunned that the human it had targeted had suddenly disappeared into thin air. It turned around angrily before spotting another human behind it. Zihao looked at the spider and felt like the unluckiest person in the world. Kaiya. Seeing the angry spider, Zihao once again quickly made a run for it, while silently cursing Chu Che for abandoning him to deal with yet another creature. Damn you, peasant mortal. This isn't the last you'll see of me. I'll find you, no matter how far you run. Very far away, Chu Che sighed in relief and smiled wryly while walking along the road. That's right. He was now on the public roads. The moment the ground burst open, he used his full strength to dash away like lightning, leaving only dust behind. Well, because his S class mission should be located within a forest region, a few towns and cities away from here, he wasn't given any additional teleportation passes. If his next mission were far away, he would be given an additional teleportation pass to go there. Of course, if he were weaker, he would have received one more pass. But the passes were given according to the strength of the tasker. For him, it would take at most 40 minutes towards his next mission location. But for some, it might take 2 days or 3 if they constantly ran without stopping. Hence, he wasn't given any additional passes. The only teleportation pass he had was the one that would take him straight back to Wanji Town. With that, Chu Che dashed away at top speed towards the next location. He had no time to stop and fight any creatures, arrogant cultivators, or thieves lurking within the forest. That's why he chose to run along the main roads. Those driving their wagons and carriages by were utterly taken unawares when they saw the high-speed line of dust rise from the ground and pass right by them. Latest MLS on nvelby/.co. Everything happened so fast, leaving them confused and frightened. Even their horses were taken aback and had no time to react. Funny enough, just when they felt like they would get blown away by it all, a strange force supported them, keeping them steady. Luckily, whatever had passed by didn't seem to have bad intentions, or they would have already been dead by now. Many trembled in shock and hurried off to their destinations for fear that whatever passed by might change its mind and come back at them. They had always known that this world was unsafe, but today they had a whole new meaning of just how dangerous and helpless they were in this world. Dying without even knowing how they died. Wasn't this the same as them being helpless? They had to buy more safety talismans. Hoof. Wei Wei was having the time of his life, enjoying the wind against his face while still nestled within Chu Che's top. Even though the wind was too much, he still enjoyed it. With their A-class mission done, it was to move on to the next. This time, Chu Che had much more trouble looking for the green Nantal flame. He searched for an entire 4 hours before finally finding its location. The barrage watched as Chu Che took out several magma beasts in awe and appreciation of his skills. Chu Che used some of Raiden's lightning skills to deal with them. The eyes of everyone burned with determination as they watched religiously. Chu Che's eyes light reddish streaks of lightning in them, making those watching fan out like people who just saw celebrities. But once again, what surprised them the most was the ease with which Chu-Che dealt with these beasts. Aren't these magma beasts? Yes, they are. They're really magma beasts. Wait, can anyone guess their grade? Everyone watching was a little perplexed. During the last mission, they could identify the grade of the creatures due to their distinctive features, like the lycors that evolved extra sets of eyes after reaching grade 3. But magma beasts were different. It was said that even if they cultivated to the point where they could ascend to the next domain, they still wouldn't change much in appearance. From ancient books, it was said that they only changed after they ascended to the upper realm. So unless someone were stronger than them and could sense their exact cultivation level, no one would know what grade these beasts were. There were no extra visual changes that many could point out. Even Nianzu and Songhai watched intensively, trying to determine the grade of these beasts. While watching the live broadcast, they could only feel a certain fraction of the strength of Chu-Che's skills. But they couldn't feel how powerful the creatures he fought were. Since they weren't there before the creature, they could only devise things visually. Most thought these beasts were at most grade 3 beasts, since Chu-Che seemed not to have a problem dealing with them. Of course, others suspected they might be grade 4 beasts that had just broken through and hadn't stabilized their cultivation ranks yet. But no matter what they thought, Chu-Che didn't even give them any response to their questions, as he was busy hurrying things up. And just like that, he had taken care of all of them. Of course, he collected all the beast cores as well. Why would he leave so much money lying around? No way. He quickly gave them to the system, which in turn converted them into money for his personal use. Mission accomplished. Now he could head back to Wanji Town. But before going, there was something he needed to make sure of first. System. This teleportation pass only guarantees my passing through. So what about Wei Wei? My darling host, it shouldn't be an issue for you. Wei Wei is already your contracted beast, so he counts as your belonging. But if he weren't, he would need his own pass. Chu-Che nodded and opened up his interface. Well, since that's the case, there was nothing to worry about. He rubbed Wei Wei's head and smiled. Wei Wei, we're going to Wanji Town. We're going home. Woof. Woof. Wei Wei barked excitedly in response, while still nestled up within Chu-Che's shirt. He, too, was looking forward to seeing his new home. With that, Chu-Che teleported them out, making them instantly disappear like magic from that same spot. PFF. And not too long after they left, a group of cultivators soaring high up in the sky seated on rare magical beasts soon arrived in the same mountain region. Looking at the scene before them, their expressions instantly turned grim and livid. Who was it? Who was it? The group of terrifying cultivators got off their beasts and started at the destruction coldly. They were all wearing elder uniforms from the Holy Fountain sect, the strongest sect in the Ta province. They also came alongside a few others from another powerful sect called the Eminent Light sect within the Bailong province. The number of geniuses produced from the Ta province was a far cry from those the Bailong province produced. This green Nantal flame had caused quite a disturbance once it descended onto the lower realm. The moment it reached the atmosphere, it gave off a very powerful aura that only those almost ascending could feel. And the sect elders from numerous sects, who were cultivating behind closed doors, quickly opened their eyes in shock and tried to pinpoint the exact location where this flame fell. Even those in the other provinces were aware of something powerful falling into the lower realm, but they couldn't find where or what province it had fallen into. This mystery made many search day and night to find the source of this strange force. Lucky for the profound sect, some elders on a mission very close by saw the green flame descend like a heavenly light and quickly observed the situation the moment the flame descended into the area of these magma beasts. After seeing the terrifying strength of these beasts, they knew that they couldn't handle these beats alone. So they headed back and reported the matter to the sect leader. But these magma beasts were hundreds and very unpredictable. They didn't know if all the magma beasts were extremely strong or weak, since the beasts looked the same no matter their strength. That said, they had noted some weak ones and a lot of overly powerful ones too. The key thing was that this was the lair of these magma beasts, meaning deep within the mountain caves and swimming within the mountain magma, were many other magma beasts whose strength they had no idea of. For all they knew, this place could be riddled with over 300 or more overpowered magma beasts. And they weren't ready to take the chances for failure. If they failed and caused quite a stir, other sects would get alerted. So they had to win on their first try. That's why they secretly invited people from the Eminent Light sect to assist them. Many don't know, but the sect leader of the Holy Fountain sect here in the Ta province, and that of the Eminent Light sect in Bailong province, were sworn brothers with a deep history. So they were somewhat confident that there would be no betrayal involved. Nonetheless, they did take precautions just in case. Anyway, elders from both sects secretly planned things out and rushed back here to defeat these beasts and take the flame. They came here fully prepared and ready for action. But who can tell them how things turned out like this? Everyone trembled in rage. Who was it? Damn it! Who would dare steal something that we, the Holy Fountain sect, have set our eyes on? Could it be people from the mystical True Force sect? Or could it be those dogs from the Profound sect? Another elder looked to the sky deep in thought. You're right in assuming that. But just like we got aid from outside the province, what if another sect did the same and beat us to it? Everyone nodded and felt it was plausible. Sect Elder Shin Kai from the Eminent Light sect crossed his arms over his chest, deep in thought. It could also be people from the Yanging province who worked together with the sects here. The possibilities were many. Nonetheless, the important thing is that the damage here is fresh, meaning whoever took the flame shouldn't have gotten far away. Everyone's eyes instantly lit up. He was right. The damage was done a few minutes ago at most. So the culprit wasn't far away. Good. Without saying a word, they all got on their beasts and began a thorough search. Elder Shin Kai calmly looked around murderously. It looked like he would have to stay in the Ta province for a bit longer. But who was it? Chu Che and Wei Wei, who had no idea about the turmoil they caused, happily found themselves within the mission building in a flash. Wei Wei opened its eyes wide curiously, as it had never seen such a place before. It stuck its tongue out excitedly and quickly jumped out of Chu Che's shirt. Hoof! Hoof! The little guy jumped and skipped merrily, making the barrage smile. Everyone liked little Wei Wei. Chu Che estimated that soon, the little guy might have its own fan club. After stepping off the teleportation device, Chu Che walked towards a few transparent columns at the corner of the room, which looked like those transparent transport columns in the Jetsons. There were 10 of them in total, and just beside each one was a card machine. Chu Che stood before one of the tubes and tapped his card on the machine beside it. And instantly, the tube glowed brightly. No, it should be that there seemed to be a light source within the tube that made it glow. Card accepted. Welcome back, Tasker Chu. Please drop task items from both missions in the transport tube one item at a time. Chu Che nodded and first placed the rare yellow fingot within the tube. Instantly, the clear glass tube lit up from within, illuminating the crystal-like yellow fingot herb even more. Like magic, the herb started elevating, moving up the tube until he could no longer see it. Rare yellow fingot processed and accepted. Please drop the next item. Chu Che came back to his senses and took out the green Nantal flame. Congratulations again to Tasker Chu on completing your second mission. For submitting the first item, 2 million coins will be rewarded to Mr. Chu. Instantly, the money appeared in bags within the spacious tube, piling on one another. Plop, 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 cuckoo. Chu Che saw this scene and had black lines on his face. Why did he feel like he had become Scrooge McDuck? He grabbed one of them and opened it, revealing the bag's content. Of course, trust the camera to capture everything, and even make the silver coins twinkle in the live broadcast. Those watching couldn't help but open their eyes wide in shock. F********. Boss Chu is rich. Greedy face. Was it too late to ask Boss Chu to adopt them? F*******. Boss Chu was rich. Many looked at the bags with popped-out eyes. Before Chu Che left for his mission, they were very aware of the rewards. It was just that it sounded too good to be true, and seemed like it would keep them out for too long, away from the gaming hall. So many just brushed it off. But now, seeing that Boss Chu had teleported right back, and even got bags of money, they felt like they had finally found a way to support themselves while spending so much in the gaming hall. Of course, they could always just kill random beasts and collect their cores for money each time. But they thought that this was the shorter and fastest way. Many, if not all, can only kill grade 1 beasts at most, with a few daring to kill grade 2 beasts. Unless they were similar in strength to Old Fru, they couldn't attempt defeating a grade 3 beast. 10 grade 1 beast gives 20 hold coins, which was close to what they spent in a day while at the gaming hall. Daily, they could spend a maximum of 6 hours playing, with each hour costing 3 gold coins. Not silver, but gold. So in a day, they spent 18 gold coins, 180,000 silver coins. And in a week, that was 126 gold coins, or 1.26 million silver coins. But here was the thing. Even though 10 grade 1 beasts could sell for 20 gold coins, for them, it would take 2-3 days to kill that many beasts at once. So they might end up spending 2 weeks or more hunting in the forest constantly. Many had planned only to do this when they ran out. They planned to dedicate the time to hunting before coming back and gaming straight for a week. That's right, 126 gold coins were what they needed for an entire week. Of course, to make things easier on themselves and to keep them around the gaming hall more often, many still chose to hunt every day once they finished their gaming session. At first, they thought this was the fastest way to make money. Earlier on, they thought they would have to go out for months or something on missions, just like how official sect members typically did. Again, coupled with their low cultivation, even traveling far should take days and weeks, no? At least, many thought it wasn't better than hunting beast cores around the outskirts of the forest. With their lowly strength, they dared not go too deep in. Anyway, seeing how Chu Che carried out his missions, they felt it might be the fastest way to rack up enough money. Rather than hunting daily or taking out 2 or more weeks to hunt constantly, wouldn't it be better to take up missions and finish up the takes in a matter of days rather than weeks? Thinking about it like that, they appreciated the mission hall even more. Of course, everything depended on the mission class they took. If they were E-class taskers, they might only get rewarded 2 gold coins, 20,000 silver coins, per item or something like that. But the good thing was that such tasks shouldn't take so long to accomplish. And by the end of the day, they might be able to take 4 or 5 more missions all at once. Many of them were already cultivators and should be around D-class, hence earning much more money. Looking at the example of what sort of mission each class could be given, they felt like F-class missions were for mortals, while E-class missions were for those who just broke through their mortal shells. As for them, they had been cultivators for years now, so most should be in D-class. Of course, people as strong as Bo Su and the other profound sect disciples here should be in C-class or B-class, depending on their strength. Some guards in Chu Che's palace fell into this category too. Also, people as strong as Old Fru should take A-class missions. And all the S, SS, and SSS class missions should be taken by those in the second Tao of cultivation, the spirit realm. Everyone knew their place, as well as how much money they should be able to make from the mission hall. No matter how they looked at it, doing missions gave more in a shorter period when compared to their original plans. And with the way they were advancing soon, they might rank up in mission class too, earning more. The way they looked at it now, this mission hall was a blessing in disguise. Staring at the 2 million silver coins that Chu Che just received, it might seem like a lot. But in a week, they used up 1.26 million silver coins, 126 gold coins. Then this should be enough for just a week and a half. It was brutal but very fair. Cultivation was expensive and hard. It wasn't strange to spend so much on improving one's self. For the results they got from the gaming hall, they felt like it was too cheap. If it were a prominent sect, they would charge 500 gold bound or more to enter another realm per hour. They might even hide its existence, refusing ordinary folks like them from ever using it. At least that's what they thought. That's why they dared not waste this sort of opportunity. Another good thing to note is that while on their missions, they still had a chance to make even more money. Say their mission was to collect specific quantities of grade 1 herbs. If they killed a few beasts along the way, then they could still collect the cores as money too, giving them extra money. It was a double win. Some in the barrage had already decided first to do group missions with their friends and gather money together, just to test the waters. And if they were really in danger, they could teleport back to the mission hall swiftly. What shocked them the most was that even if they didn't use it, the teleportation pass would automatically activate if there were any sneak attacks made by the enemy that they couldn't see. Wasn't this guaranteeing their lives? So even if they ran into higher-grade beasts or scum sect disciples, they would be safe. With such a heavenly thing, what else could they say? F*******. They would be fools not to take up missions.